to continue today and look at other things in the 7 P's. So you're most welcome if it's your first day here. We want to assure you that we have a whole week of this seminar and this health expo, so don't worry. If you have not received all the services you wanted, please come again tomorrow. In the evening at the same time, you can be given another service. You can just do one service per evening. And by Sunday, you will have enjoyed all of them. We want to proceed to the third one. If you are taking notes, the third P for preparing for marriage is parental home responsibilities. Let me repeat that. Parental home responsibilities. What do I mean by parental home responsibilities? While we do not come from perfect homes, even some of our Christian parents have a lot of weaknesses, God, in His own divine wisdom, has meant it that family where you come from should be the perfect place where you are to be trained and nurtured for your own family in the future. Let me repeat that. God creates new families by letting you to be born in a certain family so that you observe what's going on and how a family is made. So that in future you can either take what you saw as warnings, you don't repeat the same mistakes, or you take the example of what you saw and paste it in your own family. I don't know whether in the family you come from, all you see is danger, or you see some good things you will need to put in your family in the future. The Bible says in Luke chapter 16 and verse number 10, "He who is faithful in that which is least shall be faithful also in that which is much. But he who is unfaithful or unjust in the least will be unjust also in much." What does that mean? If the little things that you are told to do in your family, you don't find pleasure in doing them, then how can God entrust you with your own family, which includes a lot of responsibility? Let me put it this way. Before God blesses you with your own family, He trains you in your father's family. Did you hear me? Before God blesses you with your own family, He trains you in your father's family. Listen, if you do not love and support and ease or reduce the burdens of your parents and your siblings at home, how are you going to support and love and help the burdens of your wife or husband when responsibilities are going to be more than what you have today? Your parental home is a place of attachment, of internship. I want to say that love is actually learned and practiced. Love is learned and practiced. That's why we say love is not just a feeling, because you don't practice feelings. Feelings just come. You see someone that you think really looks wonderful and the feelings just come. But love, which involves character development, love, which involves being passionate, love, which involves caring for someone even when you don't feel like, love is practiced. Love is practiced. You see, when you get into your own family one day, your wife is going to get sick at around 1 a.m. That's not a good time to be woken up, isn't it? 1 a.m. Deep asleep, dreaming of sweet things, and then, sweetheart, I'm aching, my back, then headache, then leg ache, then toothache, and all the aches. What do you do at 1 a.m.? Brother, you've got to wake up, and you've got to wake up peacefully. Not as though you're going to war. You've got to wake up with care and concern and say, what's going on? It is the back. Oh, what can I do? Can we do a massage? What is the time of the night? It's 1 a.m. You've got to do it. I heard a story of a man in marriage where, we men, we are terrible for sure. The child they are just given birth to, and that first 1 year is terrible if you give birth. All the joy you've been having seems to be being robbed by this new baby. And so this guy can just cry the entire night. So this guy was trying to sleep. He had had a long day at work and he's trying to sleep, and the baby just... And finally the guy got fed up. He told the woman, "Did God give you breasts? Get out and give that baby what the baby wants." And the woman said, "Don't you also have breasts? Mine are tired. I have given the baby the whole day. You also try even for a few minutes." When you did not practice patience in your father's home, you are not going to develop patience all of a sudden with your wife and your child. Your father's home is a practice place. What are some of the things that you learn in your father's home that will help you in your own home? Number one is love. You must love your parents. And you must show love by action, by words. Love, you learn it at home. Most of us don't have it. We don't have love. We expect our parents to do good things for us, but we don't do good things back in return, either for our parents or for our siblings or brothers and sisters. We don't. But home is a place to learn love. What else do we learn from home? Responsibility. What do we mean by responsibility? Someone who is responsible does not need to be told what to do. They see something that is missing and they do it. Your mom left things outside. Rain is coming. She's still in the market. You're waiting for her to give you a call and say, "John, are you home?" "Yes." "Please ensure you remove the clothes from the airline." A responsible man should answer, "Mom, they are already in the house. I already took them. You didn't have to call." Are we together? You learn responsibility. You get into the home, you find the home is dusty because your parents are busy. They don't have to ask you for it. In the home, you learn forgiveness. These are things you're going to need ahead in your own home. But where are you learning them? In your father's home. Forgiveness. Your parents can do something wrong against you. Your sibling can do something against you. You learn to forgive them in your own home. Because in marriage, if you don't have forgiveness, don't even try. Brothers and sisters, inside marriage, there are crimes committed between both of you every week, every day. You need a heart full of forgiveness. And you learn it in your father's home. Number 3, you learn kindness. Kindness is the ability to give. Giving to people. Being kind in words. Being kind by your thoughts. Being kind by action. Kindness. You learn it at home. If your mother is coming from the gate and she has a lot of things from the market, run to the gate and help and say, "Mom, can I?" Don't say, "This is a work for women. You came to cook." You came to cook, and you, what did you come to do? Kindness. Support. You learn that people need support. You're not just supposed to watch others as they struggle. You need to do your part. Unity. Marriage is a union of two. You learn family unity in your own father's home, and then you'll take it to your home. If you're always undermining the unity in your home, when the family decides, "We are going to do this on Thursday," for you, you have your plan. In your marriage, it will be like that. Your wife will say, "Sweetheart, we have coming up our anniversary. I was thinking for our anniversary we do this." And you say, "I had my plans, please." That marriage is not lasting. In your father's home, you learn honesty. You learn sympathy. You learn patience. You learn what we call conflict resolution. How does your father deal with problems in the home? Do people sit down and talk and decisions are made? Or your father is this village chief that solves things using a club? Hit and run. Is that it? There is something called conflict resolution. Siblings may have a problem. The father brings them together. Now, sometimes we observe wrong things from our father's homes also because they are not perfect. For example, your father is used to addressing your mother very ugly ways. When the food has no salt, he says, "What did I marry?" If you are a better husband, you might say, "Today the salt has loved the food." Did you understand? Today the salt has done what? The salt has loved the food. If she is wise, she has what? She has understood. Okay? Sometimes we learn to misaddress our spouses because our fathers and mothers were misaddressing each other. But I have said, in your family, you can either learn from their mistakes or learn from the good things they have done. Are we together? So that you don't repeat the same mistakes in your own home. In the home, you learn something we call personal hygiene. Personal hygiene. It is in your home that you learn that the kitchen should be cleaned after people have eaten. You learn that when you wake up in the morning, you need to spread your bed. You learn that you need to brush your teeth. You learn that men should put on socks that are clean. You learn. You learn. You come to campus, you will notice that people didn't learn. People didn't learn those lessons. So someone eats on Monday and they are planning to wash the utensils on Thursday. Hey, how will that go? Now you reach your home and find that your wife is busy. She went to work, and your work has allowed you to come home earlier, and for her she will come back late. She will come and find you on your laptop or on a game, and the things are just watching and the flies are celebrating, and she has come frustrated from work also by her boss. And here you are, just resting. Trouble begins right there. She will begin saying, don't I have a job just as you do? Did I not go to school just like you? And the answers you're going to give are going to indicate whether it is ending soon or it is going to continue. Have you learned some personal hygiene? Gentlemen, especially. In your home, you should learn order. What does order mean? A place for everything and everything in its place. Let me tell you order in different words. If power went off, if electricity went off at night and you are cooking, can you locate where salt is? Electricity just went off and you are cooking. Can you locate where salt is without any torch? Because you have order. You just know my salt is usually here. So power goes off and I just walk a few and I put my hands and there it is. Order. There are certain men that can get late for class looking for socks. Because the socks is put sometimes next to the saucepan. Order. What else do you learn from home? You learn what we call homemaking. What does homemaking mean? A house can only be sweet to the husband and the children if it has some color, it has some arrangement, it has some things on the wall, it has the way that chairs are arranged. Now, homemaking is mostly a duty of women. But some of the women don't know at all what homemaking is because that's not their thing. So your husband comes, he goes to another house to visit, he sees the way curtains are arranged, and he says, I wish my house was like this. He sees the way seats are spread, and he is wishing. But the woman says, I'm cooking for you. Isn't that enough favor? Homemaking means you learn to make your home a good place that when your husband leaves work, he feels like he wants to come home. There is a paradise where he is king and the wife is the queen, and they are making it the best place to be. If your husband or wife likes a certain perfume, or you even want to put it in the toilet, you know there are some homes you can eat in the toilet comfortably if you come from the village like me, because the toilet smells better than our sitting room. You didn't understand? Yeah, they have made the toilet look so wonderful that you can just eat inside there. Homemaking. Now, it doesn't mean you have to be rich to make a good home. Sometimes I'm so impressed by poor people who in their little single room, it has been so arranged, so made that you're impressed when you visit them. Because they learn about homemaking. At home, you learn about parenting. Unfortunately, some of us, our parents did not parent us. They policed us. Our families were just police stations. The father arrives and reports are given. John did this and Jen did that and this did this. Come. No investigating, just arresting. And after arresting, it's just beating. We can explain later and story about it afterwards. That's how we were brought up, because this is Africa. But I said we learn from their mistakes, and also we learn from the good things they did. Parenting. Are there things your parents you thought they would have done for you that they didn't do? Do it for your children in future. Yeah? Are there things you saw in your home that were not good? Did they neglect you when they should have been closer because they were working? Then don't neglect your children in the what? In the future. You learn these things from your home. One author says, it is by faithfulness to duty in the parental home that the youth are themselves to prepare for their own homes. So you being faithful in your parental home prepares you for your own home. In your family, you are to learn to love, and then you're able to be the head of a family, especially men. So when you're at home, help your mother to wash utensils. I'm talking men. Washing utensils doesn't make you a lady. No, it doesn't. Helping your parents to clean clothes doesn't. One day your wife is going to be sick, and you've got to stand up and do something. You can't stand up and say, It also gives them some good love that they see in you. Now, most women love small things, by the way. You always look for big things to give these women. But in marriage, I have learned that if I wash utensils without my wife asking me, she just feels happy for that. It is not me coming home with something huge that is breaking my neck. It's just me cleaning the house, just that. Without her asking me, she comes and finds I have cleaned it. That alone adds love. I will get more hugs that day without asking. Perhaps with a bonus of a kiss. And maybe beyond the bonus. I'm not going to say other things. So parental home responsibilities. Learn in your father's home, then you will implement in your own home. Point 4. Another P. Personal development. Personal development. And that is mental, physical, and emotional maturity. Mental, physical, and emotional maturity. Let me talk about, before you get married, just ensure that you're mature. Mentally, emotionally, and even physically. Mental maturity. Ask yourself, do I have the mental capacity to deal with marital issues? Can I handle parenting or reproductive issues? Can I? If you're fearful, don't. Am I mentally okay, or do I have some mental illnesses? Am I a bipolar person? In 1 minute I'm so happy and shouting, the next minute so sad as though someone has already done something against me. In marriage, you need emotional maturity. Ask yourself, how do I react during disagreements without becoming verbally and physically abusive? You know, some of you cannot argue before you hold someone's shirt. People are just talking and you say, man, I was telling you, huh? I hope you heard me. Why are you going to hold like that in marriage and shake them like an earthquake? We must learn before we get married that people can disagree and still remain loving and respectful. So you can be calm when you're arguing, because in marriage there are going to be things you will disagree about, but disagree as people who love each other. Can I sustain an argument and still remain calm and respectful before I abuse someone? Some of our fathers abused us with our grandfathers' names in front of our mothers. They said, these grapes you're bringing home, I suspect they belong to your mother and her people. But by abusing the child with the mother and her people, you have abused yourself also, because you chose poorly. You are the first problem. How does a poor man choose a poor woman with poor parents mentally? if the man is not mentally okay himself? Do I harbor grudges against those who disagree with me? You know, there are some people, you do something wrong against them, even without knowing, and they hold it against you. They see you, they feel like vomiting or rolling. Now in marriage, you're going to have a lot of it. Your partner not meeting your expectation. You can't get out of it because you have signed, I do. Therefore, no holding grudges. The Bible says somewhere, do not let the sun set down or settle with wrath. That means, if a problem arises in my home, before we sleep at night, we need to call for a meeting and we calm the issues. Otherwise, issues that are not dealt with all the time, however little they were, they will erupt as a volcano sometime in the future, and you hear that a husband killed the what? The wife. Learn not to hold grudges. Emotional maturity. Do I think that suicide is a solution whenever I don't get my way? There are people who have been brought up like that. In their families, whenever their parents beat them, pop, they run and disappear for 1 month, 2 months. That's how they deal with being disciplined. In marriage, I don't know where you'll run and disappear to and come back after how long. And some of these husbands will never look for you. This your father would be worried. These husbands, for them you disappear. They say there's a vacancy. Vacancy. It's announced immediately. That's the world we live in today. Suicide is not a solution, dear friends. Face the issues that come. With God's help, you can make it. But you learn it now. Emotional maturity. Do I blame others for my own problems? Do I? Whenever I have issues that are happening, is it always, if so-and-so didn't do this, I wouldn't have done this? Do you reach a place you say, I'm sorry, I did it? In marriage, you need that heart that accepts mistakes and says, I'm sorry. What else? Do I have low self-esteem? Those are issues. You know, some of you feel disparate because you have that low self-esteem. Your husband may be very bright, or he has a big job, or he's a big man, your boyfriend that is, and you're just a little person from a little family. You don't know a lot of things. You have never typed on a laptop. You don't have a smartphone. That thing is killing you already. You are made in God's image. Where you come from, whatever your parents did, you're not responsible for those. You are responsible for your character. And you have value, my dear friend. Do not cheapen yourself for someone else. You have value. So don't have this low self-esteem that sells itself to a man. Even when the man is doing something bad, you say, where will I go now? Where will I go? I have to stay. He is the best I have seen. So even if the best kills me, he is the best. Okay. Do I appreciate people for the good efforts that they put towards me, or am I a critic? There are people who have this critical attitude. Everything you try to bring them, you bring them a card to show them love. This is not my color. And you walked in town looking for that card. Then you bring a flower. You bring the flower, and all of a sudden, the flower, I like white roses. You brought red. The stream of love is going to dry up. The man will walk home empty-handed, and don't ask, because you dried it. Learn to be appreciative and begin it in your singleness. If someone does you good, whether it be family, friends, whoever, learn to say thank you before you quarrel. Before you say, I didn't want this suit, or I didn't want this kind of shirt, or I don't. Receive and say, appreciate the heart that gave. And then you can work on the rest later. Don't just be a critical person. There are people who are like that. Then there's something in marriage we call financial and emotional independence. There are some of us that have been poorly brought up by our parents. We were brought up to depend on them for everything, even the little things. And we carry that with us into marriage. The Bible says, Therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother and cleave to his wife. There must be a leaving at some point and a cleaving. Now, during this time you're at campus, one thing you're learning is you're trying to leave, L-E-A-V-E, your parents. There are decisions you must make for yourselves at this point in time. Now, you will be so unlucky to meet a boyfriend who, when you want to go for a date, they say, let me call my mother and ask which hotel in Kampala is the best. They can't even decide the color of the shoe they want to wear until they consult. So how are you going to depend on this person? If you want to talk about parenting, say, I need to talk to my father first. And yet you're married. But they are always calling back to consult on decisions concerning the two of you, not those others. When you disagree in marriage in the future, will you call your parents for advice, or will you sit and solve it, the two of you? Marriage is an independent entity. You must leave your parents and cleave to your partner. There are things in marriage that even your parents should never know that you're going through. You should solve them, the two of you. Praying through them, working on them. That's how it ought to be. Since marriage is between two people with different personalities, from different backgrounds, there is something else you need to consider: communication skills. When I was in campus, there was a course unit called communication skills, but they never really taught us how. So, the way people communicate in one culture is different from another culture. So it's important to learn how to communicate, because almost 70 to 90% of marriages that don't work, it was because of poor communication skills. Someone misunderstood another, or someone said something that was not received properly. Communication skills. Question: does my face and my body, my lips, do they pass the same message? Or you can say, I love you, but your face is very serious. And someone keeps wondering as they are walking, what did he mean, I love you? Because his face was not reflecting what the lips were saying. Number two, whenever I talk, does my tone convey respect to the other person? Tone shows what you're saying even more than what you have said. Someone can say like this, did I tell you I love you? You know there's a problem there. That one is not love. If it is love, we rate it under rape. Do I always shout, or am I usually calm? Communication. Are my words and statements true, pure, kind, and do I speak only that which is necessary? Now women usually in communication here, they have issues because they have what the Baganda call lugambo. Is that it? Did I get it? Yeah, they say whenever women gather, conversations will come up, but they will not talk about each other there. They will talk about others who are not there. The problem is, after talking about others who are not there, when you part and you meet the next pair, you will now be talking about the one you are with the other side. That's how it is. We learn to communicate. Does my communication inspire courage, or it's just about complaints and murmuring? You want a husband and a wife that always encourages you when things are down. But there are people who are always negative. How are you today, my wife? Things are hard, but we are used to. Or as the Ugandan English say, 50-50. I wonder what 50-50 means. Oh, fair. There's no day you'll ask them, how are you doing? And they say, I'm doing okay, I thank the Lord. That one was cast from their mouth. Please learn to have a language that inspires others. How are you today? I thank God, I am doing well. Oh, things are not good, but I praise God that I'm alive and I'm healthy. That's it. Be inspiring. There is nobody who likes being around someone who every day you ask them how they are. They are looking for the worst term to describe their situation. You will run away from that person soon because you can always expect what they are going to answer. Communication is very key. In marriage, if there is miscommunication, it creates emotional distance, which may lead to divorce. It can result in wrong assumptions about your partner. It is just wrong because you don't understand each other. Communication can even complicate what we call sex life in marriage. Something you may have said in the morning is going to block your advances at night. That's just how they do it. And women know, and they use it to punish their husbands. Just like that. So communication is key. Or, in another way, one word you can tell someone in the heat of anger can shut down all their romantic juices. Just like that. And whatever you wanted, it's done. And miscommunication leads to third-party relationships, or it opens doors for unfaithfulness in marriage. So you need to be mature when you get into marriage, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Learn to communicate and communicate well. The fifth P, I'll rush through this. Make peace with your past. Do what? Make peace with your past. We come from different backgrounds and different problems we faced when we were young. Some of us were even raped. Others were abused by our relatives. We don't trust people easily. Some of you fear men because the first man you lived with was a violent man in the name of a father. Every time he came home, instead of running to hug your dad, you are running to find a hole to hide in. And so you have grown up with this fear in yourself. Now you are carrying that fear into a marriage also. Escaping one man, entering into another man's life. Now, some of the challenges of your poor parenting are going to interfere with your marriage if you don't handle it. You need to learn to trust people again. You need to learn to forgive again. If there's someone who hurt you in the past, you learn to forgive them so that you move on peacefully with your life. Philippians chapter 3 verse 13. Brethren, I do not count myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind, and reaching forward to those things which are ahead. So Paul says, my secret in life, I forget the past and I look forward to what's coming. So make peace with your past. There are some who have some emotional baggage from a previous relationship. Leave your past relationship behind. Others have guilt because of some things they did in the past. Bitterness, low self-esteem. Some have this feeling of loneliness that nothing can solve because they grew up learning that they were not loved. And so however much you try to convince them they are loved, they still feel what? Unloved. That's how they have been. So forgive yourself for the problems you brought into your life in the past or other people brought on you. Accept that what happened is real and begin the healing process. And remember, no matter how bad the past has been, Christ can give you a new start. That is hope. You can have a new start. You can be a totally new person by the time you get married. Better than what you used to be. You can start over and focus on solutions instead of regrets. So make peace with your past. Point number 6. Purity of thoughts, words, and actions. Purity of thoughts, words, and actions. You see, marriage is built on purity. If you cannot be pure in your thoughts and words and actions, you are not going to be faithful to your wife or husband. No. We men sometimes, even while walking with your own wife, some men are so lustful, they will be with their wife, but they are turning to look at another woman right there without shame because their minds have trained themselves to be polygamous. The mind is polygamous. They see themselves as hunters and gatherers. They are always hunting and what? Gathering. They say, God blessed me with so much love. It is not enough for one woman. It always spills over. It always spills over. Brother, that is a demon. It is not love. Job says in Job 31 verse 1, I have made a covenant with my eyes. Why should I look upon a maiden or a young woman? As a married man, you're going to need to fix your eyes and say, though that day you're saying I do, you'll be saying, hey, do men know what they say when they say I do? Forsaking all others. Huh? But if men were honest, they wouldn't do that. They will jump that line. Forsaking all others. They just do it for the pastor or the congregation, but they don't. Whenever you're getting married, you must learn to forsake all others. Now think like this. If a man is not contented to live purely as a single person, they are not going to be pure and faithful in marriage. If in their single life they are hitting and running, hitting, running, it is going to be impossible in marriage. Marriage has no miracle of turning a womanizer into a faithful husband. You practice how to be faithful in marriage by being faithful as a single person. If you have not been satisfied with one lady as a single, how are you going to be satisfied with one woman who is your wife in future? She will get boring after week 1. And you're going to need multiple to keep you going. You've got to learn. Some of you are even doing multiple dating. One man is dating 5 ladies in the hope that he is going to get the best out of the 5. Brother, you're just unfaithful. Imagine saying to this one at 7 p.m., I love you. 8 p.m., I love you to the other one. 9 p.m. to the next one. Are you the company of I love you? Distributing love every hour. Is that your industry and company? If you have been used to a life of adultery, fornication, pornography, masturbation, these things are going to follow you like a demon into marriage. That's it. So learn to be pure. Finally, point 7. The 7th P, the presence of God. The presence of God. I take that principle from Genesis. Before Adam got a wife, who was he relating to directly? Who did Adam know first? God. Before Adam knew Eve, he knew God, fully enjoyed that relationship. When God creates Eve, who does Eve see first? God. And who introduces Eve to Adam? God. Are we together? So, in order to make successful relationships, the singles, the husband, the wife, or boyfriend and girlfriend, they must cherish the first relationship, and that is relationship with who? With God. Listen. On the day when they sinned, do you notice that they started blaming each other? If you have read Genesis chapter 3. Immediately they sinned, where Adam had said, bone of my bone. Flesh, it was very poetic. After sin, Adam, what happened? The man now didn't even have one word of rhyme poem, nothing. The woman you gave me. Blame games. Sin always has a way of breaking relationships. Sin. So you need, if you're going to have a successful marriage, ensure that you have the presence of who? Of God. Nurture the presence of God. Let me put it like this. If your relationship with God is okay, and the other one is also okay, your partner to be, you can trust them because they are responsible first to who? So if they are going to work in America for 2 weeks, your heart doesn't have to worry. He's going to get the bazungu. They are going to confuse her. She is responsible first to who? And she knows whether I'm in America, US, Saudi Arabia, God is there, watching my actions. I'll be honest and faithful to my wife or husband. Isn't being with God the best security for removing unfaithfulness? Yes. A man who knows God will be like Joseph. The Bible says nobody was in the house. And Potiphar's wife said, today is the best opportunity. Let us. A little. I will cover it. A little. But Joseph said, how can I do this thing and sin against who? Now, was Joseph married when he refused to sleep with that woman? He was single. But if that test came to the young people here today, hey, they will say, Lord, thank you. Days like this come once in 10,000 years. It has come to me. And it is my boss, not even just a girlfriend. Ah, Lord, thank you for showing me this favor. You need the presence of God. What are the 7 P's we have looked at? Number 1, the purpose of marriage. Know what is purpose. Number 2, personality and character. Number 3, parental home responsibilities. As I finish, the choir, please come forward and give us an item so that we move to the prophecy. Just come as I'm finishing, if you are in our guest choir for tonight. Number 3 was parental home. Number 4 is personal development. You need to be mentally, physically, and emotionally mature. Number 5, deal with your past. Have peace with your past. Are they there? I was told are they around? Please come. Number 6, you need to practice purity of thoughts and words and acts. And number 7, you need to have the presence of God. My question for you now is, are you ready for marriage based on those things? Are you ready? How many feel ready for marriage? Let me see.